What's good, Gusto Nation? Welcome to New York City. So the lease on our Chicago apartment, the one that we've had since 2020, was ending in June. And a couple months before that, after some serious discussion, weighing the pros and cons, we decided that our next apartment lease would be right here in the Big Apple. Now for the past 2 years, we've been getting to know this city by staying anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks in various neighborhoods from Queens to Brooklyn to Manhattan and creating as much content as possible during these trips, mostly travel and food related. After that, we'd head back to the Windy City, edit that content, and then create all new Chicago videos. But as you can probably imagine, hopping back and forth between the Windy City and the Big Apple is actually pricier than just straight up having an apartment right here in NYC. With the decision to actually move to New York City this summer, in our late April, early May trip, it was time to apartment hunt. And we looked at vacancies in both Manhattan and in Brooklyn. But funny enough, the very first apartment that we actually visited ended up being the one that we got. And we're gonna talk more about this place in future videos, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. Another leg day in the books, by far my toughest workout of the week, and I actually do 2 leg workouts every single week now. But it's time to head home and make some brunch and a protein shake. Alright, for brunch today, we got scrambled eggs and egg whites, some New Zealand cheddar cheese, and some New Zealand dried out apple rings. Then of course, you know, I got the protein shake with the brown rice protein and the pea protein. Altogether, this meal is 584 calories, 38 grams of carbs, 23 grams of fat, and about 58 grams of protein. So instead of listing off a bunch of generic steps on how to find an apartment in New York City, I'm just gonna tell you how we found ours. Now, first and foremost, we narrowed down the neighborhoods to about 11 in both Manhattan and in Brooklyn. In the last video, I shared with y'all how we got down to those 2 boroughs, so go ahead and check that one out if you missed it. Now from there, we set up a Street Easy account. I downloaded the app onto my phone and created an account so I could enter all these details. The neighborhoods, our price range, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, laundry in the building, and of course, dog friendly, because, you know, Rowdy was coming too. From there, we would search multiple times per day. We would find stuff that fit those criteria, and then on the app or on the website, I would reach out to the person in charge of that listing. And from there, that's how we set up showings. We did talk to a couple of realtors, but ultimately nothing came from those. So the basic things that we were looking for in a New York neighborhood were a park for Rowdy, easy access to the subway, and of course, lots of grocery stores since we often cook at home. Since we travel around the city for amazing food and drink and great things to do, we didn't necessarily need that all in our neighborhood, so that really opened it up. Through Street Easy, we were able to walk through a few apartments, but like I mentioned earlier, it was the first one that we saw that we ended up getting. We checked out the unit and that very same day submitted our applications. We just know how NYC real estate goes. We've heard plenty of stories. Of course, we had to prove that we were making 40 times the rent, which was pretty easy thanks to my success as a YouTuber in Chicago. About 2 or 3 days later, we got approved, so the next step was to go to the Manhattan office to drop off the security deposit and first month's rent. Oh, by the way, there was no broker's fee for this listing. Thank goodness. Once our apartment was secure, we got back to filming around NYC. Then we headed back to Chicago because it was time to prep for that cross-country move. Had to make a quick stop to Bushwick Bark on Irving to get Rowdy a new bag of food because he housed all his other stuff. Y'all know it wouldn't be a Louis Gusto video without an afternoon caffeine break. So today we stopped at Post Factum in Bushwick, picked up a matcha lemonade with passion fruit juice, and we got a croissant. So delicious, that's why it's already gone. It's a hot day. We needed a refreshing drink with a little bit of caffeine. Cheers. Back at the crib and our brand new Dyson V8 Absolute got here, so I'm gonna unbox it while I continue to tell y'all about our move to New York City. Now, first and foremost, once we got back to Chicago, we had to start cleaning the apartment. Now, that was for a couple of reasons, right? Number one, it would make it easier to clean and organize everything. And number two, we could film one last Chicago apartment tour. We decided to go the budget route with our move. Obviously, we want to save money moving here to New York City. So that meant no movers, no pods, no big trucks, just us, our stuff, and a few boxes. But thankfully, we still had leftover boxes from our 2020 move down in the basement storage unit. In parallel with the packing, I started selling old clothes, memorabilia, electronics, and furniture. All this was gonna help fund the move. We started about 4 weeks out, which I figured would give us just enough time to get all of our packing done. Our weekends were filled with packing, planning, and sorting, and so I was not able to film any new Chicago content. That's kind of why y'all saw a break in the channel. But don't worry, we'll get back to filming Chicago content later this year. Make sure you keep it locked. Hit that subscribe button if you accidentally unsubscribed. Over the next few weeks, I changed my address with several different accounts, returned my Chicago Public Library books, set cancel dates for all our Chicago utilities, set up our brand new NYC utilities, and then over those last few days, we went out for another tavern-style pizza. We dropped off our apartment keys. And before we go on, I want to give a huge shout out to my boy JR. He really came through, helped us in those final days with bringing stuff downstairs, especially getting rid of junk and other things that we couldn't sell. He not only helped us pack our suitcases into his car, but then he showed up at 3 a.m. to drive us to Midway Airport. And we did fly direct to LaGuardia, called that Uber XL. Once we landed, we got a couple of those luggage carts. Then about maybe 40 minutes later, we got to our brand new apartment here in Brooklyn. Now I'm gonna share with y'all my essential moving to NYC from out-of-state tips. Once you got that apartment secured, make sure you set up your NYC utilities. Next up, you wanna schedule your shipping and/or mover so that your stuff gets here around the same time as you. So you wanna change your address, not just with the post office, but all your various accounts, credit cards, retirement, etc. You have 30 days once you move here to get a New York driver's license and/or state ID. And if you have a dog like Rowdy, you have to get a dog license as well. Ship yourself an air mattress because you're gonna need somewhere to sleep those first few nights. I don't recommend bringing your bed with you, it just doesn't make sense. When you're packing stuff in your carry-on or just somewhere separate in a box, have those essentials for the first few days. Clothes, hygiene, shoes, whatever you might need for those first few days. You're here now, so don't stress too much. Have some fun first 1 or 2 days. Order takeaway. Don't worry about cooking. Get a bagel, slice of pizza, whatever. And then finally, relax, take a deep breath. You're now in NYC, one of the world's greatest cities. Touché. All right, now it's time to enjoy this bowl of popcorn, watch some Hulu on the Nintendo Switch. The setup's a little wonky right now. I'm sitting on a yoga mat on the floor and the Switch is on a luggage box. But hey, that's what happens when you move to New York City. We're gonna be building out this entire apartment, the furniture, the decor. Make sure you subscribe so you can follow along the journey. And I appreciate you watching this. We'll see you next time. Peace.